Well, hello and welcome to Bike Theft Prevention Month. This is our third, I believe, webcast for uh, bike theft prevention. Tonight, we're going to go into a little bit of the common mistakes made for preventing your bike from being stolen. Um, if you have any questions or thoughts during the presentation, send them, leave your comments in the comment section, and we will take a look at those. So I kind of came up with a short list. I was thinking about different ways that I've made mistakes locking up my bike. And then there's some common ones you can find, you see examples of when you're out and about. So I kind of just wanted to talk through a couple of those just to point them out and then see how we can fix them. So one of the easy ones is when you're locking your bike. You know, there's several ways that you can lock your wheel, you can lock your frame, but then it's also what you lock it to is important. Sometimes there's a bike like a post or something that is not quite tall enough, or if you lock it to something that can easily be circumvented. So it is an important thing to consider how you lock your bike and what you're locking it to. That's just important. The other thing to consider or prevent bike theft is oftentimes overlooked is you only lock your wheel to the whatever the object is, the post. And oftentimes we have quick releases on our wheel sets. So if you lock your wheel to the post, then they can easily just open up the quick release, and then your wheel is left behind, but your bike is gone. So there's a third one is not locking everything together. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm just going to lock the frame to the bike, to the post. And as we've seen before in examples, sometimes they'll just take you, if you have quick releases on the wheels, they'll just take the wheels and leave the frame behind. So it's a good idea to sometimes have multiple locks so that you can lock things together, like your wheels to the frame, or sometimes even your seat. So if your seat has a quick release, then that's also something that can be easily removed. So it's a good idea to lock. You might have a smaller cable lock for that, just so that it doesn't walk away. But also, use a U-lock with a cable lock so that you lock the frame to the post, and then you have a cable lock to the U-lock. Anyway, the more pieces that have quick releases, the easier it is to walk away with. The other thing to consider is removing any removable accessories. This includes like bike bags or lights, maybe even a bell or something like that. Something that can easily just be removed by just unlatching and removing it. Sometimes you have some really nice light sets, and you certainly don't want them walking away when you leave your bike there for the amount of time. Another common mistake that we often see is not really buying a heavy enough lock for the circumstance or the location. There are various kinds of locks, from the very lightweight and thin cable to heavier cables to chains to U-locks to wheel locks. The idea is that depending on where, what you can carry, you certainly want to have a heavy enough lock that it's not going to be something that can be easily broken or cut, and then have your bike walk away really fast. Another common mistake is not checking your bike after you've locked it. This is a good idea to shake your bike, kind of verify that the lock is locked, or that it's going to be a useful and viable lock to the post you're connecting to. It's a good idea just to make sure that the lock is connected. So that's one of the other common mistakes. Another one I found that I hadn't thought of before was locking in the same location every time. Sometimes if you have a pattern or you keep repeating where you lock it, then people might be observing this, and then they may think, oh, it's definitely going to come back and lock their bike, and I'll be prepared this time. So it's a good idea to sort of change where you lock your bike. Don't always use the same location. Now, here's one that I hadn't even thought of, and that's not locking your bike to something at all. Sometimes you just lock the wheel to the frame, or you lock it, but you don't actually connect the lock to something else to secure it to the either a post or a something solid is connected to the ground. So it is important to remember to lock it to something. And then another one that's pretty obvious, but maybe it's easy to oversee, is forgetting to light the bike at all. Thinking I'm just going to run in real quick, I'll be right back, and in that meantime, your bike has disappeared. So don't forget to lock the bike to something, and make sure the bike lock is hefty enough. Another common mistake is not locking your bike in an area that is well lit or well traveled. Oftentimes, if it is a busy intersection or a busy sidewalk, or it's well lit, then it's going to deter from anyone from coming up and just taking your bike or cutting the lock and then removing your bike. So I think the more in public you can lock your bike, the more likely it will not end up being stolen. Another thing is sometimes it's advisable, if you have a nice shiny bike, is to maybe not make it look so attractive. We've had advice from people that sometimes will make their bike look more used or dirty, so that it's not quite so shiny and appealing to someone coming by. Or if it's brand new, it's going to be like more appealing, and someone's might want to take it, versus an older bike which has some duct tape on it or is dirty, and is not so attractive to somebody as they walk by. Let's see. Sometimes it is useful to make your bike not stand out. So again, if you make your bike not shiny or new or slightly more used, and it looks more like the other bikes that you're parking them with, then it won't be a target for those people looking to steal a bike. Another common mistake is, or something that could prevent your bike from being stolen, is to try making the bike unrideable. If you take your seat, if you have a quick release on your seat post and you can remove your seat, then someone looking to steal a bike is going to see the seats missing, and it's really not a rideable bike at that point. So they'd be less likely to steal a bike. So, or take a wheel with you. If you have a quick release on the front wheel and you take a wheel, then again, it's going to make the bike less rideable, not at all rideable, and so deter someone just casually walking by looking to steal a bike. Another piece of advice that I discovered was sometimes when you get too creative with locking the bike, maybe there's an intricate way that you weave the lock or the cable, or the way you lock it to a post or a fixed fixture. If it gets too creative and you think, oh, this is super secure, it may not be at all. It may one cut and it may unravel the whole thing. So it's not necessarily important to be creative in locking the bike, as long as you're connecting all the parts and it is not in such a way that one break will unlock the whole thing. So don't get too creative. Keep it simple, but keep everything connected. So that kind of goes through most of my list for common mistakes, because I had 13 things I was thinking about to prevent bike theft. One more I came up with is not recording your bike's serial number. Oftentimes we'll get a bike and we'll use a lock, and then if it gets stolen, we haven't recorded the serial number on the bike from the bike, and so there's no way to report it or identify it if it's somehow found and recovered. So oftentimes the serial number is on the very bottom of the bike, under the crankshaft, kind of stenciled into the frame itself. So flip your bike over and look for the serial number and record that. And use that also to register your bike. That's a good way to, if it does get stolen, then it becomes part of a nationwide registry, and then it can be, if something comes up or someone wants to check the bike registry, then it's a good place to often spot stolen bikes or look for ones that you may have had stolen. So again, record your bike's serial number. It's important, even if it's a cheap bike. It's good to have that information in a secure place. So just to recap, kind of some common mistakes to avoid when protecting your bike from theft. Don't only lock just the wheel to the secure thing. Lock your whole bike. Use multiple locks if you can carry them. A U-lock with a cable lock is a good combination. Anything that has quick releases, try to lock those to your bike or remove them. Sometimes removing the quick released items makes the bike unrideable and it deters someone from stealing the bike. Also remember to remove anything that's any of your accessories that are easily removed, like lights and bags. And then also don't lock in the same location every time. Remember to change where you lock your bike, and also lock it in a well-lit and well-traveled location so that it's not lonely and looking for someone to steal it. Anyway, if you have any other suggestions or comments about how common mistakes that have been made that you can think of or that you've seen with bikes parked around your location, jot them down in the comments. Glad to see more people's ideas and hopefully ways to prevent bike theft. Anyway, we've got a couple more sessions this week, next 2 Wednesdays through the end of the month. Looking forward to the very last one, which is stories that we've all had. We're going to share stories we've all had about bike theft and hopefully some about recovery. All right, well, that is all for me today. So I think I will say goodnight and we'll see you next time.